Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins Thursday.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today, or I should say, thank you for joining me here today. As you're about to see, I'm finally solo. I'm used to having a co-host, so the word "we" popped out there. Anyway, now that we've had a few days to settle in after the first game on Friday night of Finns football, I think we've all know that there's a lot of fans that overreact to preseason football, and that's probably goes both ways. If we would have won the game 50-0, we would have probably been going, our positive fans, we would have been going, oh my God, we're the greatest. But then this one was ugly, so the ones that tend to be a little negative jumped off ship awfully quick. But I'm not that worried. I did like some of the individual performances, which I think is the most important thing in preseason, is start getting some of that rust out and see the good players step up. I did like seeing Devon A-Chain. I think he did well. Eric Izukama. I know I'm probably messing up his name. I always do. That's why I call him Easy, to get myself off the hook. I thought he looked well. Cam Smith, unfortunately, he's a little banged up, but I thought he looked well. Myles Gaskin, the guy that we love writing off all the time in Miami Dolphin land, he looked well. And there's probably some other names I'm forgetting that looked solid. So there are some positives. Now, if by this next week we don't start looking better, when we start hearing dual practices against the Texans, and we don't step it up in the game against the Texans when more of our starters are probably going to play, then maybe I was getting a little bit concerned. But preseason record win-loss is to be thrown out the window. Because I mean, back in 1972, the Dolphins didn't have a perfect preseason, and then they kicked butt the whole season, won the Super Bowl, and still the only one in Perfectville. So am I worried about preseason overall record? No. But do I want individual performances to step up once the starters start playing? Yes, for sure I do. And, that's when you work out a little bit of rust. And I believe, maybe I see more of the starters in game 2. They probably treat it like they used to treat game 3 when there was a 4-game preseason. They're going to treat game 2 and play some of their players, get that rust out, because you need to get them out there. Yes, you want to protect them from injury, as evident with Cam Smith getting a little banged up. The good thing about him is he's not going to be out long, from what Mike McDaniel said. No, it's a gray area of timetable, but he expects him back sooner than later. All depends, of course, like anyone, how the body responds to the injury. So that's why I said, was it a boring game to watch? Yes. Was it lackluster? Yes. But was there some positives? Because really, Mike White drove the ball down the field 3 separate times. We just weren't able to close the deal. The one time to start, was a great drive to start down all the way down the field. And then, boom, he throws the interception. Then we had 2 other pretty good, successful drives that Mike Wright led that ended on 4th and goals not being converted. And one of them was like, we could see the guy open, the ball just got tipped, and yada, yada, yada. We did not get a touchdown. So we put a big old goose egg for most of the game up there. At least Jason Sanders did hit his 1 field goal attempt, so that was a positive. That's another positive. A-Chain, again, going back to A-Chain, I love the fact that he had a nice kickoff return to open it all up. So, because last year it was a lackluster kickoff return game. This year we got better options in both the punt. I think punt return and kick return should be a better year for the Miami Dolphins. I like Braxton Burrows back there on punt. He's another guy got a little banged up, but it's mainly just because he has stitches right on his helmet line. So, we didn't want, the coach said, hey, good morning, man. Hey, we'll do, Justin. We'll do for sure. Thank you so much. And here I go. Sorry, guys. I got distracted by one of my regular co-host here that I call the co-host with the most, Justin. Drop a link for him, see if he can come in. And any of you guys that want to click that link, feel welcome to come in and we talk Miami Dolphins football. But yes, it was an ugly first preseason game, but that's what all it is a first preseason game. Keep anything off the do not risk injury, especially in preseason games. Anyone remember? Yes, you are 100% right. Back it up. But if he's your best guy out there and in the preseason, I agree with you 100%. In the regular season, though, I say you're going to have to play him some back there because he is a very good option. It really depends how much we use A-Chain in the offensive backfield when the regular season comes around. If he's big part of the rotation where it looks like he might be because he showed great skills out of the receiver slot too, like when they put him out wide. And it's just, to me, it's just, I know Justin, if he can get in here, is going to agree. It's going to be tough to cover A-Chain for any linebacker that's assigned to him. Forget about it. Him and the defensive back, then they have to assign one to him, and that opens things up for other people, which would be great. What's the record you think? Well, I've been Jamar on. Welcome, Jamar. Thank you for coming in. I think that's your first comment in here. I will play the Dolphin song for you in a couple minutes because I always do that for our first time comment. I've been saying the Dolphins are going to be 11-6, and I'm not changing that. And it's hard for me to look down at the schedule and say what game we're going to win and what one we're going to lose. But overall, I could see an 11-6 football team. The floor to me is a 10 wins season. Like this, there's no excuse that we shouldn't win double wins. And I know we got some tough opponents, but doesn't matter. That's not an excuse. We got a tough division. Doesn't matter. It's not an excuse. We got to go out there and we got to win double-digit games this year. We've put this roster together. I say we because I'm a homer Miami Dolphin fan, but the Dolphins have put this roster together to win now. If you would ask me a couple seasons ago before they pulled off the big trades to bring in Tyreek Hill and a Bradley Chubb, I would have said, okay, they're still building through the draft. Let's give it a couple of years. But when you go out and sign, not only do you give first-round picks for those two players I just mentioned, you give them the bag of money. So you're now saying the window is now. You're telling the fan base the window is now. So that's what I think. Jamar, what do you think? I'm saying 11-6. Yeah, but that was their high power hoops here. But you could be right, back it up, but it's also a good weapon back there too. So I can see both sides of the fence on that one. Like if we really have the high power offensive you're saying we're going to, which I'm hoping we're going to, then yes, maybe those couple yards aren't going to be a big difference if you're afraid of him getting hurt back there. It just depends how much he plays in the rotation. And I think it might be a lot. So then I would tend to agree with you. But if he's not going to play a lot as a rookie, like our rookie last year sat a lot, then I would say at least getting back in there in the return game. So let's see when the first game lines up. If he's in the rotation a lot, getting a lot of carries or looks out of the backfield to catch the ball, then I would agree with you if he's getting a lot. If he plays against the Chargers where he's getting snaps with the offensive unit, then yes, I would say, okay, let's protect him back there and not throw him back there on kickoff returns. But if he's just, we're getting a steady diet of Mozart, Wilson, and other players, then I would say let's, get him back there to at least contribute to the team the best way he can. If I had to guess, I'd say 10-7 or the same as – no, that's kind of in the ballpark. Like I said, 11, I'm a little more, I guess, not too far out there. I'm not like some of the guys saying like 14 wins, 15 wins. So I definitely could see that. But to me, 9 wins would definitely be a disappointment for this football team, how it's built. We've put everything into this season. Yes, it's a tough schedule, like I said earlier, but you got to beat good teams to be a good team. And I'm not so worried about that because I don't want to hear, well, we had a tough schedule. Everyone has a tough schedule in the NFL. Any week, any team can beat you. So you just got to go out there and you got to play. And that's what I'm hoping our Miami Dolphins do more often than not. Oh, good. I'm going to the rescue out of the bullpen. Comes in as a starter, starts struggling. I'm going to have a little help here.
What's
So,
up?
hey, thank you, man. Oh, I see you got your Dan Marino rocking this morning.
Oh yeah, I figured I'd wear this morning. It's that time of year. Football's cracking. Trying to get packages ready to go this morning.
Yeah, I know you're sending out jerseys to your people that buy jerseys from you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hey, if that's it, man, they all want it before the season starts. So
Oh yeah. Everybody wants to get their gear early so they can represent early and often. It's that good time of the football season to where everybody feels good about their team, and everything's kind of set in stone. Like everyone's 0-0, 0-0, so everybody feels good about it right now.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. We all do. I mean, after that ugly preseason game the Dolphins put out there that first game, but I'm not worried. When you looked at who was sitting, it's almost all of our stars were sitting, so I'm not too worried about it. But yes, Jamar, that's always a part of the team, man. You got to hope those guys, everyone stays healthy across the board. This is for sure. So obviously, if Tua stays healthy, we don't even have to worry about Mike White and Skyler. So that's the first step. But
there you go, right there. You said it, buddy. You said it. Keep Tua top right, and everything should work itself out from there. To be honest, it's a preseason game, and I know, of course, we want to win every game we play and step out on the field out there.
Right.
They didn't do that bad. I mean, the defense only gave up, 6 points or whatever it was, a couple field goals. The punt return was the biggest one that kind of broke your back. But and it's expected. It's preseason. It was at home. We didn't play a lot of starters, but neither did they. There were some bright spots on both sides of the football, I guess you could say. I think one of the biggest bright spots in my eyes, at least, was probably somebody no one's talking about, and that's going to be Keon Smith, number 71. He played really well. I was very surprised. There's not really too many snaps I've seen where he gave up his gap, gave up his man. He won most of his reps. Obviously, Wynn looked decent when he was in. Did Wynn even play?
No, he did play a little bit. He was one of the guys that played a little bit, but he's going to start this week, so he's going to get the chance at left guard to start this week because they're evaluating both of them and stuff. So yes, he did get some snaps, but this game now he's going to actually get the start from what McDaniel said because he wants to give everyone a fair chance to win that job. So hopefully we will see soon enough whether you are right, and I think you are going to be right. I think he is the man that ultimately wins that spot and be our starting left guard. Because Kim Bokamp are pointing out an interesting fact that the whole week, I mean, everything up until they did the joint practices, Liam had been the starting left guard, but when they started doing ones versus ones, that Wynn got a lot of snaps in the ones versus one we know. So they moved him up a lot. So I think you might be right. I think we may be looking at Wynn as our starting left guard.
Yeah, it's possible.
Good morning, Andrew.
Offensive line it's strange. It may take 3 or 4 seasons for the guy to actually get it when he gets up here from college. It's not like their trajectory is just going to be skyrocketing and just keep going. Maybe some of them that are really good, but it just takes a little bit more time. So it's a puzzling thing, but you never know when the light's going to pop on for an offensive lineman and he's just going to start doing everything he needs to do. Let's hope Austin Jackson's lights popped on. Let's hope the coach has seen his technique fall into form and now his feet follow with his technique. And let's just hope that all meshes together for him in one now. If he can play to his highest level of what he's supposed to be, you might have found a right tackle. His athletic ability gives him like a leg up over a lot of the guys that are trying to battle him out there at right tackle.
Right.
So if everything can fall into place for Austin Jackson, maybe he works out right there. I don't know.
They said he played well, but again, like you said, Atlanta wasn't rolling out all of their first.
Yeah, they were playing with their 2s and 3s. So I want to see what happens when it's 1s versus 1s, and then we'll really tell sign of what's going on out there. But I'll be honest, like you've heard me say this, and I'll keep reiterating it and keep saying it again and again and again, is you need more bullets for the gun. You need more depth. It's not going to hurt you to add a Dalton Reisner. It's not going to hurt you to go get an Akeem Hicks. It's not going to hurt you spend any of the money that's not yours.
Right.
So
No, I agree. And like I said, you need a little bit of money left because going into the season, guys are going to get hurt. It's not when they're going to get hurt. They are going to get hurt. And you
yep.
need, even though they're on the street and they're not going to be stars, you still need to pick up some guys off the street and come fill roster spots. So you always need that emergency fund. It's just like when your car having some struggles, you need a little bit of emergency fund to be able to cover the cost of your broken down car. And that's what the Dolphins going to need. So you don't want to spend to the penny that you have, because then you're out of gas as some players start going down during the season. But just enough to get those fringe type players into the roster for, to fill out spot. I'm with you. Spend up until what you can possibly do, because Greer has told us one thing. He's all in to win, because the minute you start pulling trades for veterans like Tyreek Hill and Chubb, like you and I have said, you're no longer building for the future. Like when we were gathering all those first round picks and we were getting multiple first round picks, that was a long process to say, okay, we're building for the long term. But once you start flipping those first round picks and bringing in veterans and giving them the bag of money from day one, you're no longer saying, oh, you're saying we're winning now. So, and
yeah, it's, like I remember how antsy everybody was during 2020 and how bad everybody wanted to win. And we're like, oh, we're building ourselves up for the future. And,
right.
who knows what's going to happen in the future, but the time is now. Let's draft Tua. We did all these things, right? And sometimes things just happen to where, you have to scave, certain hills and certain problems that arise up in a football season. And
right.
A lot of that stuff happens to the Dolphins all the time. It's going to be no different this year. It's going to be the same thing over and over. We're going to have to figure it out. What could possibly make this a little easier in the transition would be for the younger players like the Eric Izukamas, the Channing Tindalls, the guys who are coming up undrafted, guys like Cater Kuhos, Nick Needhams. Those guys come together to help you form a better nucleus of a team. Then you're going to have a better trajectory of uphill going as you get going into the season. So in my opinion, the more bullets you can put into the gun, the better off we're going to be.
Oh,
so.
no, for sure, because you're going to miss some. Every bullet's going to miss. I don't care if you're an ace shot, bullets are going to miss that time. But if you got more, you got that backup ready to go. So,
Exactly.
And that's what, and that's why I always switch few. I would rather have more draft, unless you're talking the top cream in the middle of the first round. You'd rather have a higher draft pick to get your cream of the top. But later mid rounds, I'd rather have, instead of a high third round pick, I'd rather have 3 third-round picks, because you start missing in those. So the more fish you get out of the barrel at that point, you're going to likely land one. So yeah. I know that's like your draft philosophy too. If you're talking cream of the top, you'd rather have one top 10 pick than, a few later on. But when it comes to later rounds, I know you've always said you like more picks, because they're going to miss. I don't care what scout you are, what general manager you are, you're going to miss projections and you're going to hit some. So with that ratio, the more picks you have. But the Dolphins the past 2 years have had barely any picks the past couple of seasons. Basically, since Mike McDaniel's head coach, we haven't even had a first-round pick, So it's just like, it's hard to build that bottom of that roster up, like you said, to have more bullets, because you've traded away picks for the big, sexy bullets, for the big weapons. So, it's tough.
Yeah, that's why you got to do more with less. You got to do more with the undrafted guys that you have. That's why the Keandre Smiths, the Garrett Nelsons, the Brandon Peely, if he gets to that kind of a level to where you could trust him to get out on the field and make those plays. The Aubrey Millers, I think Aubrey Miller saw the game the other day, and it was just a little bit faster than he expected. I think things are going down there a little fast for the rookie right now. I think once things slow down and he gets like a year under his belt, I think things are going to be a lot better for someone like that.
And I think you're right, because Tyndall, again, it was against their backups again. Let's not kid ourselves, but he looked a lot better than he had all of last year. He looked better. And then he's a lock to make the team, because he's he's a special teams ace, and he's going to make the team. But if he can contribute at the linebacker position this year, like he was basically non-existent at that position last year, that would be a step up,
Well, some of the things that he's doing on the field should be getting noticed, and I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about him because the untrained eye is not seeing those things.
Right.
He's actually picking at the point of attack really hard, like pick, and then he'll shed real fast. So when he picks and sheds real quick, it's something that I'm not used to seeing around here. And the linebackers don't play good in traffic, but he does, because he's first of all, he's 10 pounds bigger than any of the linebackers we have on the roster. He's probably one of the strongest ones they have on the roster, and he's the fastest.
Faster.
Yeah, he's the fastest guy they have on the out of the linebacker position. They like to use him in like those fire zones, those blitz fire zones. That's what he's doing at Georgia. So what they need to do now is take his speed and apply it to him on the field. Like, I'm going to key and read, and I'm going to use my speed to get to point A to point B, and then cover it at the same time. He can do a lot with his speed in that coverage, but it all comes from knowing the playbook and knowing your assignment, knowing where you need to be. You've seen the play where the tight end slipped him underneath and he barely got a hold of him, just to slow the guy down just a little bit in the box, made the play that then Cam Smith undercut it, went behind him and batted the ball down without Channing Tindall making that little pull right there at the point of a contact in the box. That play doesn't happen. It's a completed pass because it threw off the timing of everything. So,
hey, no, I like that, man. See, I bring you in for those finer little details that, like you say, that we're most of us are ball watchers. We saw, like, we're all like, oh, Cam Smith batted down the ball. So, that's nice. And like I said, hopefully Cam Smith's back, because he showed me some good stuff too. So
right,
hopefully
it's those little nuances that stand out to me, that if I see those time and time again and start seeing them consistently, then I'm like, okay, the coaching staff now has trust with it, and everything will work out. It's a matter of trust with the coaching staff in order to get onto the football field.
And that's the whole reason we didn't see much of EZ last year, or Tyndale. They just didn't have that trust.
They didn't have that trust from the coaching staff, and now the coaching staff is seeing that they're growing and they're adapting to their roles a little better. Now they're going to give them more on their plate. Then they're going to give them a little more, then a little more. It's crazy because the way the Dolphins are making moves right now, if you didn't hear, they signed the Kiki QT and they brought Jamal Perry. The Perry one, I'm like, okay, I don't really like going backwards as much as I like going forward. But the Kiki QT one is very interesting. I scouted the kid out of Texas Tech. He's a yak monster, an animal. He catches everything that's thrown at him. Like, I was wanting to draft him when he was coming out of college.
Right. Well, his biggest obstacle is that he's in the deepest position on our team. But
here's the thing I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm getting into. My next thing is the reason why they're doing that is because what's going to happen when you come out into a 4 wide receiver set with Waddle, Hill, Robbie Anderson, Braxton Berrios, Kiki QT. Who you covering now? See, what it does is it opens up the field and it forces all of them to play a coverage to where somebody's going to get one-on-one. What they're trying to do is get open space for Tyreek Hill, for Jalen Waddle. So by bringing out like the 5 and 4 wide receiver sets, it's going to open up everything. And now you're trying to put your wide receivers into space, just like they did at Alabama with with Tua Tagovailoa. They're trying to open up space on the field now. So then not going to be able to cover all that space is what I'm getting at. So they're going to open things up. That's why they're bringing in Kiki QT, I think, is because they're going to try to look at maybe doing some more 4 and 5 wide receiver sets.
Yeah. Well, hey, I agree. And if nothing else, he's a practice squad candidate if, he doesn't make it out of, because we're very deep. I have I think Keep and I wrote in my notes, 6 receivers because of that signing. And it's hard to picture him making the 6, but you never know. And like you say, that's why competition is a good thing. And
that's why
I've been keeping that up there. I've been keeping this up here from Jamar. Well, you're talking about 2 guys that like A-Chain right here, Jamar. So what we feel about A-Chain is we like him a lot. Justin loves the NFL draft, had him rated does a lot of good stuff, had A-Chain as, if not his one of his very top running backs in the entire draft. So we're more than thrilled to have him on the Miami Dolphins. I don't think anything's changed, but I haven't talked to you about it. Has anything changed about your feelings about Devon A-Chain?
Yeah, kind of. And what's changed is I'm even more aboard than I was before the draft. He was my top-rated running back for a reason. I remember everybody telling me, oh, you like that little Smurf out of Texas A&M. You like the little Smurf. Yeah, he's small, blah. He's not going to translate. All I got to say is, how do you like me now? Because on backs versus backers, that dude is the only one out of all our backs that's actually stepping up and blocking.
Yeah, I know he is blocking too. That Jim Bolkemper said he couldn't believe. He said he's been out there at practice and he does the blitz pickup. Of course,
Yeah.
it's not full contact yet in these things, but when it comes full contact, he's still going to be able to pick it up. Now, whether he's going to lay down the block or not, don't. At least he's got a guy that's going to get in the way. Some of those running backs do the Olay, like it's like a career decision coming, like a money decision coming down. So
you just got to get in there and put your head in there and make the block. And I know this dude. He's not scared to stick his nose in the fan. I know he's going to make the block when he has to. I know he's going to make the catch when he has to. And I know be expected to get your popcorn ready. That's all I'm going to say, because he's going to put it in the end zone a whole hell of a lot here. So get ready for that.
No, I think so. I think he's going to be the exception than what we've been used to over the past couple of years with Dolphins rookies, as we mentioned, not seeing much action over the past couple of drafts. But this one, I think we're going to see, they're going to work him into the offense. Rather, like, I know we all get caught up, oh, he's not a starter. It doesn't matter if Mozart runs out to start or Wilson. It doesn't matter. He's going to get there. They're going to have plays designed for him, just like EZ. You could tell they did a couple end rounds with EZ.
Yeah.
I think that's enough. They shouldn't show that anymore the rest of the preseason. Just you don't want to show too much on tape, but just enough to show like, hey, we got to worry about this now, because he looked like no one's going to ever be a Debo, but he could be our version of like being able to run him out of the running, the receiver position, coming across, hand him the ball, because he's another guy, like you say, he's not afraid. He's going to pound, because some receivers, they'd rather get around the end. If he sees something up the gap, he's going to run right up the gap and run too. So,
well, I think, like, it's crazy. Of course, we're not going to compare him to somebody like a Debo Samuel, but who knows? Maybe he's better. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm willing to give this dude as many looks as he's willing to take on. Like, if you can catch the ball and give me yak yards, I'm going to keep giving it to you. Crazy, that end around that you're talking about there, that little jet sweep they did, and they did a little fake off of it. Right. Keon Smith was playing left tackle at that time. Boy, go watch that tape on him get out there and start running downfield and getting blocks. Like, that's like one of the few Dolphins offensive linemen I can see that we've grabbed during the past. Like, he's been around now for 2-3 years, that we're grabbing, stashing, and developing. Grabbing, stashing, and developing. Right. See, that's what you need to do, is you need to grab these guys, stash them, develop them, and then let them play.
And hope some team doesn't steal them from you. So.
Exactly. No, I heard numerous teams were actually interested in him than that Keon Smith that we have, because he can play long snapper, he can play left tackle, he can play right tackle. I wouldn't doubt if he can play a little bit of right or left guard as well.
Well, no, that's cool. And let's see. Do you think he is as good as?
I'm getting ready to take off. Keep going.
And no problem. And I understand. Anyway, I think he could end up being better. I don't know about right away, Jamar, about right away. Hey, Justin, thank you for joining me. He originally wasn't going to join me. He was able to join me for a few minutes, so that's perfect. But yeah, Jamar, I like him. I think he's really good, and I think he can be even better than Mozart and Wilson at some point in the future. Now, whether he's going to be better as a rookie, that's the big question that we all will have to ask ourselves as the season unfolds. Hey, Jamar, this is for you.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no.
That's for you, Jamar, old-time Dolphin fan here. We always play that a little bit. Hey, man. Thank you, Scotty. I'm happy you're listening, Mr. 15 for 15. I'm happy you are in the house today, guys. All good stuff. But yeah, like I said, I was going to be solo. Justin surprised me and came in for a few minutes, so that was nice. I didn't have to go solo the whole way today. If you guys want to join, I can drop a link and you guys can join the show at any time. It's always good to have talk Dolphins with fellow Dolphin fans. But overall, I am happy. Yes, it was an ugly performance that first game. Almost boring to watch at times because it was just none of our starters, none of that. But it was good to see the team out there doing well again. And like I say, Mike White did have some nice drives. They just all ended poorly. And, so there's stuff you can see that there's stuff to work on. Hopefully.
Yeah, when you get it in the red zone like that, you just got to put it in there,
Hey, there you go. There's the voice we all know. Yes, you do have to put it in there. So he didn't close it out, unfortunately, We had 3 drives that we got down into the red zone, and we came up with the goose egg all 3 times, which would kill you. You're not going to win football games like that, especially when you get into the regular season and you're beating you're playing Kansas City over in Germany against Patrick Mahomes, and you go over 3 in the red zone, you're going to be beat bad, and you're going to be a long flight back coming to the good old USA. You're going to be beat down. You got to get over those things. They still had some pre-snap penalties, which were a bit annoying. But, overall, I feel like moving forward. Now, this week, if we start getting reports from the practice that the Texans are beating our line again, then, you start getting a little bit worried. This is now time to start stepping up because this is a new preseason. There's only 3. We're getting very close to that September 10th opener out there in the Chargers. But in all honesty, that's the only time that I'm going to be concerned. If we go out there in Los Angeles and get beat down, Justin in the car, man. Good transition there, man.
Yeah, I had to make the transition into the car.
Yeah, and not bad at all. I like it.
Yeah, so like you're talking now that offensive line and the Texans, the joint practices we're getting ready to have.
Yeah.
I think one of the main things we need to be concerned about, or not even concerned about, but just keep your eye on, and it's actually kind of maybe eye-opening and refreshing because somebody might do it, is we need someone to start playing on the offensive line football the way that Christian Wilkins plays on the defensive
Oh,
line.
man, that would be great. Wilkins, I wish the whole team had his energy. That'd be wonderful.
If we had that, then we'd be set up. So you need some of that enthusiasm, some of that unbridled, unkindered, just go off. You need to bring some of that over to the offensive line and have it rub off on them a little bit. That's why you need a head wrecker in there, someone at a left guard or right guard, or someone like that who will just go out there and just wreck shop. Like, I wouldn't mind still signing Dalton Reisner.
I know that's your guy. You've been saying it, and he's out there. Are any teams have been looking at him, or is he going to say
yeah,
he's tired?
I've heard right now. I heard there's 2 teams who are really interested, and it's the Vikings and the Dolphins. So it's 2 teams. It's us and Minnesota. And like, honestly, I'd like to get him. And I know everybody's really high on Achane, and so am I. And the rest of our running backs I like as well. But I would still get Dalvin Cook, man. I would still get Dalvin Cook. I'd still look for Reisner, and I would try to sprinkle in a Nakeem Hicks or a Joseph or another.
Well, remember, we're limited against the money, but at least 1 or 2 of those guys, maybe.
Well, what you do is if you want to freeze yourself up some money, Keon Crossan hasn't even been to camp or practice yet. Just go ahead and, release him, say thank you for your service, save yourself that $2.5 million, $3 million, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, he froze up on me. Yeah, so there are ways you can rework contracts and then fit them in there. I think. Oh, are you back? You froze up for a minute.
Yeah, traveling, probably went through a little pocket right there.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. But yeah, you were saying where there's a will, there's a way to free up money. It's just unfortunately going into next year, we're already going to be high over the cap. But there's room. Like I said, I worry about next year. Let's worry about this year, and and see what we can do. But yeah, I would like to bring in a couple guys that can help, but we are up against it as much as we maneuver. But like you said, you can give Wilkins his money now, but you free up money for this year. Actually, you could free him and work his money down.
That comment right there. Look, like a new incognito. Yes. That's exactly what they need.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what they need on that side of the football right there. They get something like that, sky's the limit for this team.
Yeah, no, I agree for you. That'd be great, man. We need that, man. We need that along the offensive line, that energy, and get them all fired up. Because Armstead's like our best guy, but he's not that. Hey, it's all good. I know you're. Hey, don't be distracted on me. Don't worry. Just drive. That's all. That's all
you're
I have
good,
to do.
bro.
It's good that you. I'm happy, man. You covered him, and when you need to get your car in, I love it. So it's perfect.
Yeah, the brakes are going out on my delivery mobile here. I gotta go take the brakes in for changing.
Yeah, hey, just be safe, man. So, but look at you, man. I like that. You even got your baseball team rep very discreetly, but you got your baseball team repping there today. So So they're hanging in there. You're in the wild card spot. My baseball team's struggling, but hey, they've been playing a little bit. Let's see.
They've been playing some ball though, man. Like before they started that struggle, they were on a roll there for a little while. I was like, watch the Red Sox mess around and go make this playoff.
Yeah. No, they've been playing better. Hey, at least they're ahead of the Yankees. So I have to be a little,
nice.
at least I have to be a little bit petty at times. But yeah, cut Crossen, fire Crossman. So that's yes, I don't know, but who knows? That's our special teams coach that he's picked. But yeah, our special teams coach has not been the. I'm surprised he survived actually this off season. I can understand why he did the first year McDaniel came in because he's a new coach and he probably was like putting a new staff together and it was easier to keep who you had just right then than putting a whole staff together. And Anthony's joining us. I'm about to let Anthony see what Anthony have to say.
Anthony, what's up, buddy?
Before I bring Anthony in, Justin, you're on the road, so I just want to know, do you have any? Hey, you got Scotty telling you to put your seatbelt on. So.
My seatbelt. That's a good idea.
I always ride with my seatbelt though, so I'm with Scotty on that one. But I guess there in Colorado, you guys rode different. So in Florida, well, if you ever come visit us in Florida, it's the law. So
it's the law here too. I like breaking the law though. I'm a lawbreaker.
All right. Well, just be safe, knucklehead. Anyway, let me
bring I am definitely.
Anyway, I'm going to bring in Anthony because I know you could go at any moment. You're heading to the shop, right, to get your car fixed.
Yeah, I'm taking it into the shop right now.
All right, Let me bring in Anthony.
Hey guys, how are you guys today? It's been a while.
Now you're back to Anthony. You're throwing us all kinds of curveball. Last week he was Tony with like a whole different emblem. Now he's back to Anthony. You're keeping people on their toes, Anthony.
No, it's my YouTube profile has like been screwed up the past few days. Like it switches the emblem on me without me even noticing it. hey Justin, since you coach, this is an honest question. Do you notice that special teams, depending on what level you coach, they don't really they're not teaching the technique like they used to and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a lost emphasis on like closing down the gaps and what you're going to give up. They're not teaching it like they used to. The emphasis of like, hey, this play matters and it's part of the game and we need to make sure to close all the gaps up isn't being held accountable like it used to be. There's not a lot of... You think
it's because the player safety thing is getting too extreme?
To do with it. Yeah, I think it's got a lot to do with it because if you remember, if you're old school and you remember how special teams used to be, that's where you used to settle like differences and grievances out on the field. And like, you could separate a men from mice and be like, this dude's going to make it one day in the NFL. And you could tell because of the way they would run down there with reckless abandonment on special teams and just give their bodies up. And that's just not happening no more. And it's because of what you're talking about. They're trying to keep players safe. Their player safety is big. They don't want people suffering neck injuries, head injuries, whatnot. So, yeah, they're actually downing that down a little bit. It's changed the game just a little bit. Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Hey,
yeah,
talking about
and my friend coaches. He's semi-pro in California. He coaches semi-pro in California too, and he says that he coaches special teams specifically, and he says it's so hard to teach to change the mentality of some of these players because he wants to teach it the old school way, but with the player safety rules and stuff like that, it's hard to teach the old school way with the player safety, like how to do that and stuff like that.
No, you're right. You're right. Like there's certain things you can't do
anymore.
No, yeah, exactly. You can't have wedge busters. There's certain things you just can't do no more on special teams. And that's why the person you're talking about is like, hey, I'm having a hard time coaching it because he's traditionally like, hey, go down there, throw your head into the mix and break up the pile, and then everybody else will make a play. Now you can't do that because the player you're coaching, the philosophy and his mentality, he's different. He's different. He's wired different up here than he was back in the day. So yeah, he's having it's like a culture clash. You know what I'm saying? Like what we used to do to what you have to do now. So yeah, it's a big difference.
You know, when Zach Thomas got into the Hall of Fame, they were talking to Larry Izzo. There's an old special teams ace that used to go down there and go crazy. So I was thinking how much different that it's been since
someone that Color always brings up. He was a famous he played with Marino. I forgot what his name was. Color always talks about him all the time. He was a receiver, but he was known for being our special teams and returner with Marino in the 80s and stuff like that. I forgot the nickname.
Jim Crash Jensen.
Yeah, Crash Jensen.
Crash Jensen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude. They don't make players like that no more. Like they just don't make them like that no more. Like there's really not a lot.
And I don't
guys
think there's going to be traditional kick returners or punt returners anymore, like you saw with Devin Hester. I think Devin Hester is the last of the great pure punt returners in the NFL. Do you guys agree?
Well, just because of the new rules
probably.
as far as kickoff, for sure. Because almost these kickers, 90% of them kick the ball out of the end zone now, and so where they're kicking off from.
Yeah,
so
they're kicking from the 50, right? I can't remember.
I think from the 40 or whatever, but yeah. But yeah, they're just kicking out of the end zone with no problem, and they all have big legs, and it's like easy. And then for them, so punt returns, it can still be a thing, you know.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I was watching the I can't remember which Hall of Fame induction ceremony I was watching. One of the guys gave a middle finger to it was the Baseball Hall of Fame. That I was watching Scott Rowland getting inducted. Finally, it took him. Do you guys watch baseball?
Yeah, I do.
It took him finally until he's been out of the league for 10 years, and it took him 15 years to get into he gave a middle finger to the MLB and thanked all his coaches and his parents and his kids instead of thanking the MLB for drafting him into the NFL or into the MLB. And I'm like, I understand you're pissed that it took you this long, but at least give respect to the people who hired you and stuff like that. But I understand where he's coming from and stuff like that. And I'm surprised the football player hasn't done that yet. Like they give the middle finger to the actual NFL, but thank the coaches who got them there and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it took Zach Thomas forever to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but he went in with class.
And I can understand why our fan base is finally happy that he got in the Hall of Fame, but realistically, he was consistent, but he was never the dominant person at that position. So I can understand why it took him so long.
No, I disagree with you, man. I think he changed the position in a way, man, because people were afraid to go. They were talking to the Jets center, Kevin Mawai. Peyton Manning has often said that this guy would know every single play that's coming out, and Channing Crowder made like a tackle off the guy, gained a 2-yard, and he was like all happy. And then he sees Zach Thomas running at him, like yelling at him, like, "Why are you all happy? If you would have listened to what I said," because he had told him to shoot the gap. Because he goes, you would have had a 2-yard loss instead of a 2-yard gain. So it's just he just knew how to read.
But what I mean when I use the term evolve the position is Zach. I'm a Dolphins fan. I admit he was a great linebacker, but I don't think really he's not like a Ray Lewis or like a Junior Seau where they changed the way the position was played. Zach was a great linebacker, but I don't think he changed the way that people thought of the linebacker position, like fans or what is it called, or the people who were drafting these linebackers and stuff like that. It wasn't like Kuechly, a guy like Kuechly, or like a guy like Ray Lewis who changed the way you saw the position be
I
played.
understand your point, but there's so many, I mean, the team keeps on evolving. You can only evolve to a certain, but I, like I say, to me, he's a well-deserved Hall of
It's
Famer.
well deserved, but you understand where I'm coming from.
No, I understand. Yeah, no, I understand, all that good stuff, but I do think he changed it some because people were like, oh, he's undersized, he's under this, and he taught people that, hey, this guy can come in there, he can still play the position at a high level, at a hall, So,
I've seen highlights of Zach where I know he's the old school type of linebacker where he threw his body. He didn't care about his body. Like
that he did it. I mean, he's crazy, man. And it's amazing that he's still walking around upright, talking and walking because he did. He just went out.
I'm surprised. Like for me, the way he played, I'm surprised he didn't have a lot of concussions.
Yeah, I know. And maybe he did back in the day and it just wasn't covered because, nowadays everything's covered, Back then, like Joe Rose used to say, it was like, oh, you just got the bell rung. How many fingers you see? And if he was close enough, they're saying, good enough. Get back out there, So it's none of that concussion protocol that we have now.
What are you hearing in training camp, Rob? Like, what have you heard, like from your sources in training camp, how certain players are performing and stuff like that?
Yeah, but like I said, I don't have any more sources than anyone else. But from what I'm reading and all the stuff I read on the Dolphins, it's
of what you read, what player has been consistently mentioned that has been performing well in training camp?
Cam Smith, and like I said, I'm hoping that he does.
I'm telling you, the kid is gonna start day one.
Yeah, let's just hope because now he's probably going to be sitting the rest of the preseason. It looks like because his shoulder injury. But Mike McDaniel
he injured his shoulder.
He hurt his shoulder against in the Falcons game, and they say he's the time frame on his return is gray. But Mike McDaniel in his press conference yesterday said that it's sooner than later, but he doesn't want to rush him back. So I'm thinking we may not even see him much more in preseason. We'll see. But, he said it all depends. It could be as early as next week, but he says he's not going to rush him back, that he's going to let him heal.
Yeah, for me, I understand why people were upset that we lost, but for me, it's the preseason. For me, it's more about development than the actual result.
No, for sure. 100% sure is, individual performance, seeing schemes, seeing things like that. The win-loss record doesn't matter. But you do want to see
the win-loss record for me matters more if you're a team who's still building, like a team who's like the Falcons. For me, that's when the win-loss matters. Win-loss record matters in the preseason because you're a young team that's developing.
And you want that winning mentality.
Yeah, and for me, when you're a veteran team like the Dolphins, you don't really need to worry about the preseason in terms of results and stuff like that. You're just tuning up stuff and stuff like you understand what I'm saying? You're tinkering with stuff, not really like you're not developing your skills. You're tinkering with what you already know.
Right. No, I agree. And that's why it's good to see the young players play in preseason. And I think that's why we didn't see any of the starters in League One. But, then other people are saying, oh, the other players, because like Mahomes played the first game. But every coaching staff's different. And I'm not worried about.
I would rather I would rather see a guy like Skylar play the whole preseason instead of Tua. We already know what Tua has. We don't really need to see him during preseason. Skylar is the one that needs these reps in preseason because he's not really going to play a lot during the season unless something crazy happens if both Mike White and Tua get injured and stuff like that.
No, exactly. And hopefully we do see just a little bit get out there in game-like conditions. 1 or 2 drives is all I would need to see from him in the preseason with the starting unit. get them, get them out there doing a little bit, get that rust off during live action, live hitting, full speed action, and then get them out of there. Hopefully they have a successful drive, get them out of there.
And the playbooks are very vanilla. There's not going to be a lot of, what's it called? There's not going to be a lot of intricate schemes for either the offense or defense. It's going to be very vanilla.
No, there'll be no schemes, but you still get out there and get the reps, at high speed, try to do what you want a little bit.
No, the reps I understand, but what I'm saying, when our fan base expects...
No, it's very vanilla. Teams aren't... I'm even surprised that the Dolphins showed the end around a couple times with EZ, just to maybe get teams thinking like, oh, they maybe, now that gives them something to think about, I guess, when they're planning for the Dolphins, that, oh, they may give them the ball. But normally they don't even do stuff like that. They keep it very vanilla. And
yeah, it's always like what I noticed with preseason. I'm not sure if you've noticed this the past few years. It's always maybe traditional slants. Like for the passing game specifically, they're usually doing slant or crossers a lot. And for the running game, it's usually just up the middle. They're not doing a lot of outside stuff.
No, you're 100% right, because like I say, they want to show it as little, even though people more or less know from watching last year's film what you want to do and stuff, but they still want to show they don't want to show any little crinkles they may have added for the next year. So it's very vanilla when it's in the preseason, which is understandable.
What exactly, for Mike McDaniel, I understand you want him to adjust his end of the game. What is it called? End of the game calling and stuff like that.
Right.
But what exactly, in terms of the scheme specifically, what do you want him to add? I've said this, to be honest, with the talent we have at receiver and the young guys that we have, I think adding more air raid concepts into the offense, into the passing game specifically, into the West Coast would actually
help the running game.
Help, to be honest, because you're adding, you can still run the ball with an air raid offense. Let's not act like an air raid offense is just purely a passing offense, because I'm going to bring up one guy. I understand college is different, but the coach who recently passed away, Mike Leach.
Right.
He was known for running the ball, even though he was an air raid offense. He ran the ball constantly. So let's not act like that offense was purely an offense, a passing offense. It's depending on the coach who coaches.
Bill Walsh back in the day, the 49ers coach, he used to be able to run the ball and throw the ball out of that.
Yeah, and this is why I'm saying add more. To me, I've said this.
Hello, Anthony.
Sorry. But I've said this with Mike McDaniel. In order for him to be considered the guru that everybody says he is when we hired him, he needs to evolve the West Coast offense instead of just copying the offenses he's learned from the Shanahans or the Shanahan family and stuff like that. Add air raid concepts, add spread concepts into your West Coast to push that offense even further and stuff like that. That's when you get the guru title, when you're evolving the offense you actually learned and adding more concepts from other offenses. Do you agree?
No, I agree. And that's why he has to have his own version of it to be considered that, the next level coach where you're up there doing your thing. And,
the perfect example
I agree. You got to add your own wrinkle so people talk to you for generations. So that's a Mike McDaniel style offense, and that's where you got to take that next step. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
like
and
we're almost at the end of the show, but
this is why Andy Reid to me is the guru of the West Coast offense, because he's not just using a traditional West Coast offense. When you look at his offense, he's mixing spread and air raid concepts. Like he spreads it the widthwise and stuff like that.
Yeah. Phil is already unique. Yeah, he is. But he says McDaniel is already unique and what have you. But yeah, I agree. He does have some. And what we're going to see, hopefully this year, we're going to use those receivers even in the running game like they do out there in Sacramento. So we may even do some more kinds of things like that. So we'll see what his wrinkles are moving forward. This is a year. This is year 2. So I'm with Scotty. It's time for him to step up and start showing all that.
And what scares me though is a guy like McDaniel has been in one system his whole career that I think eventually the defenses are going to catch up and shut down his offense instead of going to other. This is why I said this is what hurt a guy like Flores. He was stuck in the Patriots in the Bill Belichick style of defense.
Right.
That he didn't go to other. He didn't ask Bill Belichick to let him go to other defensive coordinators and have them teach them the way they coach defense, like him going to a Fangio or something, learning that. Like
Right.
that's what hurt guys like. That's what I feel was going to hurt him in the long run. A guy like McDaniel, he was in the Shanahan system his whole career. He should have gone to other systems before he became a head coach and stuff like that.
Yeah, but no, you're right. But you know what? I think McDaniel, he's smart enough to move forward. And, like I say now, brother, it's going to play out in the field. Who knows? But I think he's smart enough to come up with his own stuff.
It looks great on paper, but on field it's totally different.
No, 100%. We have to. Our biggest issue is pre-snap penalties. We got to clean those up, getting the plays in on time, avoiding delay of games or having to burn a timeout early in the second half. Like first half, I'm not too concerned about, but burning,
And this is what I criticized Tua about. This is what I criticized Tua about last year. He was so concerned about listening to what the coach was saying instead of. I understand maybe certain plays didn't call for audibles and stuff like that. Maybe McDaniel didn't put any audibles in, but if you knew, I think Tua said this at the end of the season in his press conference. He knew some of these plays wasn't going to work. Why not just audible out of it?
They knew. Do need to give him a little more leadway in that front, especially when the play clock's running down. I just don't know if they have that confidence in him yet because, as this takes time for them to have confidence in their quarterback, but he should be able to call some of his own plays if it gets to that situation when the play clock's running down there.
Improvisation is important in the NFL. This is why Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback, the best quarterback in the NFL. He's able to improvise when he knows that the plays that Andy Reid is not going to work. He improvises and changes the play on the fly and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
I understand Patrick Mahomes is on a different level, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Scotty. It's a very complicated playbook. They only got and that's what I've been hearing reports too. So you're right on the ball, Scotty. That's what I'm saying. Year 2 should be maybe more of a thing. Maybe Tua will have a little more leadway because you just got to get those plays in there. And when the ball, if it's coming down and they're like, he's waiting for the coach, and he's like, I can't hear you. He just has to be able to have confidence to tell the guys, well, we're going to do this.
And I've said this, Rob. I'm not sure if you noticed that. Did you see multiple the last few quarterbacks that we've had complain that their communications weren't working, and that's why there was a lot of delay of games? I think Skyler and Teddy kept on pointing to their helmets throughout the season, saying, "We can't hear anything. We don't know what's happening." And I think Tua said the same thing. Like,
it happened a few times last year. It's frustrating. That's why I said they need to just get it in there quicker so they're not coming down to the last second where they have to count on everything to go perfect, But McDaniel, to his own admission, said he changed plays sometimes way too late, changed his mind on a play. And then
I'm talking about I know
the electronic, but some of that's too. And then then all of a sudden the electronic goes out and you can't hear, and then you're like, oh, now we don't even know what you're running blind at that point. So I don't know.
Oh, hey, Rob, are you gonna be on Are you gonna be on Chris's channel later today? On TFTG later today?
No. I'll be tomorrow night. I'll be on the Finns Talk Sports Network, though.
Oh no, that's what I'm asking. Are you gonna be on Bobby's channel? I meant to say
Yeah,
Bobby.
Bobby's tomorrow. Yeah, Bobby's tomorrow night, 7:30
Oh,
p.m.
with Steve.
Yeah,
You're
with
gonna
Steve.
do
Yeah.
okay.
So you're welcome to
I'll
join.
see
We're
you
going to have a
later.
guy named Brett as another guest on there. So
Okay. Have a good
Brett
day.
Lagasse. So it should be a good time. And hey, Anthony, thanks for coming out and bailing me out, because I was flying solo this morning, and both you and my big fellow co-host Justin came in and saved the day today. So I was happy.
Okay,
Thank you
have a
so
good
much.
day.
And Jamar, thank you for being a first-time viewer and coming in and helping me out today too. And Scotty, as always, a big fins up to you, Scotty, my Mr. 15 for 15. You guys all rock. And Ender, you guys were also in there. And I'm probably, Back It Up Fins podcast. All you guys, you're all rock. I appreciate all you guys all the time. Always a big fins up to you guys. And with no further ado, I'm going to close this out and say fins up to all of you guys. And there you go. Guys, Dolphins #1. Dolphins rock. And see you guys soon. Oh, and I always forget, if you're still in here, give me a fins up, thumbs up, and tackle that subscribe button if you're new here for the first time. Thank you, guys. Dolphins #1.
Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins thirsty.